Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Founders Grid, sponsored by Caper.io. Today, we have Jennie, co-founder of Retirement Atlas. Jennie, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much.
So, tell us a bit about yourself before Retirement Atlas. What were you up to?
So right before Retirement Atlas, I worked at niche.com, which is the largest college and K-12 research website in the country, and I was the head of product there. And kind of before that, my background is in math and statistics, so I had a handful of data scientist and analyst roles that kind of led me towards user research and product management.
Okay. And what led you to form Retirement Atlas? What's the story behind it, the moment the idea came in?
So there were a couple different things going on. One, I think it's not so uncommon for people in product positions to feel like your whole job is to identify what the real core problems are, but it's not really your company and it's never going to be your company, and it starts to drive you completely insane. And so at some point it was time for me to leave niche, and I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do next. So I was the head of product there, and then my co-founder Kim was the head of front-end engineering. We were both ready to go, and we knew we wanted to do something together, but we didn't quite know what. And I spent a lot of that fall just kind of walking around the woods by myself. We're really lucky here in Pittsburgh, a lot of big parks. And then unfortunately, my husband's grandfather died.
Okay.
And I spent a lot of time back and forth across the state in his senior living community. And what really struck me was how good that experience was for him. That he was in a senior living community where he was able, into his mid-90s, to live independently in an apartment, where he had a lot of close friends and a lot of support throughout his entire life. He was deeply engaged in the community. He was part of a science committee that brought speakers in. I actually went to some of those. There was like a talk by a roboticist and kind of other interesting people in the area. And I thought, wow, why are all the other stories I hear about senior living so bad? And how can people find this kind of fantastic fit? It was the perfect community for him, kind of the perfect group of people for him to connect with throughout his life. And it really, I think, extended his life and extended his quality of life dramatically to be in the right community. And so that was kind of the genesis for our idea, is that how do you help people find these really good fits in senior living so they stay active, engaged, and have kind of higher quality of life all the way through.
Very inspirational. And so how's the journey being so far, from the product development to bringing on the first 10 customers? How has it been so far?
It's been a lot of fun. Certainly there's a big switch. We spent close to a year developing the MVP version of the product, and it launched in October. So we're live in 2,500 communities in the state of Pennsylvania. And there's a big cultural difference between pre and post launch, right? Different kinds of stresses. It's very exciting that it's out in the world now, but certainly my wheelhouse previously was very internally focused. So it's a real stretch for kind of my comfort zone, which is good.
Okay. And is it bootstrapped, or you've raised around for it? And are you going for your Series A?
So we've raised a friends and family round. We're really fortunate that way. And we raised a little bit of money through our accelerator program. We're part of the Alpha Lab accelerator program in the class that just ended there. And they've been very supportive. We had a really good experience with that accelerator. And they also gave us the money as part of that program. So we're looking to do our pre-seed round kind of over the next couple of months. We're just starting to get into that right now. And it's a whole new set of things to learn.
So any 3 pieces of advice you would give to budding entrepreneurs that are just looking to start out or just starting out, 3 pieces of advice they should follow?
I would say one piece is to make sure that the kind of things you're going to be doing day to day are things that you enjoy. That if what you really enjoy is new challenges all the time, if it's really important to you to be in charge of your own time, and if you really kind of get charged up by being a little bit challenged, then that might be the right path for you. But if you're not going to enjoy day to day, the relationship management, the number of people you have to meet, how externally focused your role is going to be as a CEO, it's not at all like working kind of in a tech position internally in a company where you're really kind of focused on the people around you. I think that's definitely something to consider, is to make sure that what it is lines up with what you want to spend your time on. Otherwise, you're going to be miserable the whole time.
Interesting. So what's your take on the remote employment? Because in startups recently, the last couple of years, we've seen that the remote employment is on the rise, especially in startups, because founders are coming from different cities, locations, and they working more and more remotely. So how's the experience for you been for that so far, and what's your opinion?
We've had a great experience with that. So my co-founder and I are in the same city, but primarily work from home and meet up occasionally. So it's almost, the company is pretty kind of remote from the start, which I think is really important if you're going to do remote work, is that you have to bake it into the culture very early on. And we've also had a really good experience with a lot of remote contractors. I think, particularly as someone from Pittsburgh, you notice how much of an opportunity you have kind of working from cities that are not as expensive as Silicon Valley. That I don't know that I would have been able to start this business in a more expensive city, because you have to live without a salary for a long time, and I couldn't have done that on the coasts. And so we just have had a great experience kind of tapping into other people with some of those same considerations. The other thing that I've noticed personally, that jumped out to me a lot when I became a mother, is just how huge the population of people that are very high skill and very talented and cannot work full time on site for one reason or another is, and just what kind of an untapped talent pool that is, that we've really, particularly when we talk about content collection, tapped into a lot of people who either their parents themselves or they have some other kind of responsibility that prevents them from having full-time on-site work, and that we really benefit from kind of the untapped potential of that market.
And where do you see your company 3 years from now?
So we're hoping, kind of with the fundraising that we're doing right now, that'll help us prove out the business model in Pennsylvania. And starting next year, we're going to work on national expansion. So within 3 years, we really hope to be expanded across the entire United States, covering all levels of senior care, and starting within 3 years to start looking at some of those other adjacent markets like home care.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you so much for being on the show. It was lovely having you.
Thanks so much for having me. Really appreciate it.